Hi everybody, this is going to be our intro lecture on how to multiply matrices, and here we go. So we're going to have a 2 by 2. I'm not going to get fancy with this first one. Um, the different dimension style matrices, depending on how long this one takes, I will show you later. But this is going to be a simple 2 by 2 multiplied by another 2 by 2. So we'll make this 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I won't put any negatives in this because I want to show you proper technique on how to multiply. Okay, first order of business. The rules of multiplying matrices. All right, check this out. The inner dimensions have to match. They must match. And when I say inner dimensions, I-N-N-E-R, inner dimensions must match. If they don't, no solution, and you move on with your life if they don't match. But if they do, then you can multiply. The answer matrix will be the same size as the outer dimensions. So if I circle this, like, check this circle out, like that, that's my dimensions of the answer matrix. So the outer dimensions is the dimensions of the answer matrix. So this is, of course, going to be a 2 by 2. This is called a square matrix. Okay? So now, you remember that a number inside of a matrix is called an entry. An entry. So what I do, instead of just taking 1 times 3 is 3 and 2 times 4 is 8, that's not how you do it. Okay, I wish it was. What you do, and I'm going to be circling a whole bunch of stuff and then deleting it, so don't go circling this stuff. You take this top row times this column to get this entry. This row times this column to get this entry. So breaking this out, it would be 1 times 3 plus, and then you put a plus sign there always, 2 times 5. And then you work this problem out. That would be 3 plus 10, which is 13. So that first entry is actually 13. Now let's back up and review this. So open your eyeballs and watch. 1 times 2, or not 1 times 2, 1 and 2 times the 3 and 5. This kind of gets, if you could imagine this getting spun over so that the 1 and the 3 were together and the 2 and the 5 were together, you will do this actually without even thinking about it in a couple of problems. But for the first few, this is kind of dicey. To get this entry here, to get that spot, you take this top row times this column. All right? So that is going to be 1 times 4 plus 2 times 6. Again, this row times this column. You can see the 1 and the 4 and the 2 and the 6. So that's going to be 4 plus 12, which is 16. 16. Now, I ask you, how do you think, just let your gut tell you, how do you think you get this entry right here? Well, that would be the bottom row times the first column. All right, and so we match those numbers up. Like the first one goes with the first one, so that'd be 3 times 3 plus 4 times 5. And that would be 9 plus 20, which is 29. And then you take this row times the final column. All right, and remember, this one that you're putting in your notes is going to be your go-to spot here for knowing how to do it. So you take this row times the final column. So that'd be 3 times 4 plus 4 times 6. And that's 12 plus 24, which is what, 36. So what I'm going to do now, kind of interactive here. This green one I'm going to put up here. I'm going to keep them 2 by 2s, but I'm going to put the problem up here and pause the video, and I want you to try it at your desk there using this as a model. So we'll see if you actually have this or not. I'm going to make them negative, and I'm going to put 0 in here, 2 and 6 times -3, -4, 1, and 5. How about that? All right. Remember, your answer is, of course, if you're multiplying two square matrices like this, like 2 by 2, 2 by 2, the answer is going to be, of course, a 2 by 2. But I want to pause it, see if you can fill that in. All right. See you in a minute. All right. Here we are back. Hopefully you have an answer. Let's see how this goes. You would take this first row times this first column to get this entry right there. So that's going to be -1 times -3 plus 0 times 1. And that is just going to be 3 plus 0, which is 3. So that first entry is a 3. Next, this row times this column to get this entry. All right, so that's going to be -1 times -4 plus 0 times 5. Make sure I did that right. Yep. And so that would be 4 plus 0, which is 4. To get this entry, you do this row times this column. It's always rows times columns. Rows times columns, always. All right, so that would be 2 times -3 plus 6 times 1. So that's -6 plus 6, and that should be 0. 0. And finally, this row times this column to get the last bottom right entry. That would be 2 times -4 plus 6 times 5, which is -8 plus 30, which would be positive 22. Final answer. This is the technique that you use. It doesn't matter if it's a 3 by 3 times a 3 by 3. The technique is exactly the same. It's always rows by columns. There will be more examples, but you want to start with this one. See ya.